Innovation in Asia Pacific for banks is about offering new products for their clients, whether they're corporates, SMEs, or retail consumers, so that they can operate in new markets and they can operate effectively and take advantage of the new trade corridors. Secondly, innovation in Asia Pacific is focused on the real-time agenda, payment systems innovation, and providing new infrastructure to drive economic growth.
In Europe, we're seeing three areas of innovation. One is on the operations and operating model side. The other is around the products and the product and services banks take to market. And the third area, fairly predictably, is around digital and mobile. On the operating model and operations side, we're seeing a lot of consolidation of operations, particularly in Eastern Europe and in Russia, and in innovations in the operating model that those banks are using to transform themselves to expand their services across borders. On the product side, I think a key innovation there, or key trend, is a very strong growth in what's called virtual accounts in corporate banking. On the digital side, it's a very confused picture. There's a lot of initiatives going on, a lot of new entrants, there are a lot of propositions out there, and it's very confusing, for anyone operating in this area, but also it's very confusing for the banks to work out what to do. But then, having said that, we're seeing a lot of work around digital wallets, a lot of work around online bank-enabled payments, such as My Bank in Europe, and we're also starting to see growth in corporate mobile, a lot of interest in mobile banking for corporates. And finally, we're starting to see innovation around loyalty. So instead of just offering accounts with money in them and payment services off those, it's offering accounts that contain non-financial values such as loyalty awards, which you can then use at this point of transaction to make payments.
Innovation in North America first starts with mobile. Mobile commerce is table stakes now for any financial institution, any large corporate, or any merchant that wants to seek to drive customer behavior and then want to stay on top of the trends that are happening. So innovation first starts with mobile, and mobile payments is a key strategic aspect to that. So whether you're a financial institution whose mission specific it is to mobile payments, or if you're a large corporate or a merchant, as part of your overall strategy, you're making payments a key aspect of driving that business going forward for the rest of 2012, into 2013, and for plans out through 2015.
In addition to providing new products and services for their clients in new markets across Asia, supporting the new trade flows, the banks are starting to invest heavily in payments processing technology. They want to reduce risk, reduce time to market, and they want to achieve the many benefits of the payments hub.
Well, in Europe, the top priority is SEPA. Over the next 18 months, 2 years, this is going to dominate most banks' activities around the Eurozone for the next 18 months. On top of that, and related to it in fact, corporate propositions are a priority for many banks, because SEPA is having a big impact on their corporate propositions, the way to go to market with corporates. So we're seeing a lot of activity around upgrading corporate channels, such as corporate banking and corporate self-service, as well as corporate propositions, and as I said, increasing the corporate mobile. And then finally, I think one of the key areas on the digital side is around mobile banking. Banks have realised that they need to have a very strong mobile banking app that consumers can use in order just to stay in the game. We're seeing some banks that are seeing very fast adoption. They have millions of customers using their mobile banking app, accessing it 20, 30 times a month. And as I say, to stay in the game, you need to have a good mobile banking app. So that is one of the key areas that banks are focusing on.
Bank priorities in North America, first, are still around cost cutting and cost management. But the inverse to that is a real focus on having effective and efficient technology changes that are incremental sometimes, but on the way to making transformative change. And that transformative change in particular takes shape in two forms. First is cards replatforming and readiness for EMV and readiness for NFC. So this is happening from merchants, from banks, from payment processors. And the second half is around core payment platforms, migrating those 30-plus-year-old legacy infrastructures to one payment service hub where you can handle centrally all payment types through all channels, where you have better reporting, better fraud management, and better analytics for your customer and your customer base, as well as those merchants that you may serve upstream.
In Asia Pacific, I would identify 3 opportunities for growth for banks. Firstly, regional expansion. Follow your customers, support your customers as they expand into new trade corridors and new markets in Asia. Secondly, offer increasingly sophisticated products for your corporates and tailor your products for your SMEs as they become the future growth engine. And finally, in emerging countries, continue to provide increased access to financial services and payments especially for the underbanked.
In Europe, the growth opportunities are, first of all, in terms of transaction banking, in terms of I think Eastern Europe and Russia. And in terms of the rest of Europe, I see the biggest growth areas are around corporate propositions, because I see that whole environment, the whole landscape is changing as a result of SEPA. And there's a big opportunity for banks to grab corporate market share. I also see another big area on the digital side is to grow mobile banking capability both on the consumer and the corporate side, and then to expand that out into mobile payments and some of the innovations that we're seeing on the digital wallet side.
Growth opportunities are going to be around managing change and working through change with financial institutions and large corporates. Large corporates are also working through a lot of the financial changes that they have to deal with, whether it's regulatory and compliance reporting, fraud and risk management, but they're looking internally to streamline their operations as well, and understanding that payments is a key aspect to their business, even though it might not be part of their core mission. The other side in change and growth is around financial institutions themselves. How are they going to compete and stay ahead of the non-traditional financial marketplace? So you see the rise of Google and what Apple is doing in the marketplace, managing that growth, staying ahead of them, and leveraging the trusted position that financial institutions have to offer better value, better service, and complete trust to their customers. That's how they're going to manage their growth.